shoot, take some time, calm down. You're going to be engaging those two bad guys. They're orange on stands. They're probably about 30 yards away from your firing position. I want 6 rounds, center of mass, or whatever you want to do. You want to do headshots, go for it if you're that good. And then way down yonder, 200 yards away, is a steel plate. I'll attempt to show that. It's hard to show right now because we're so far away, about 300 yards, 400 yards away. Got invert smell running still camera duty. Okay, pre-flight everything before you go. Make sure your red dot's on the setting that it should be. Make sure your mag pouches are orientated. Are your mags ready to rock and roll? You act like you're ready. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
So once we're to the cones, we don't have to move anymore.
What?
Once we're to the cones, we don't have to move anymore.
That's correct. You stay at the cones on this particular running gun.
Sure.
Shooter ready? Mark, set, go. Six rounds, each bad guy target, any position you want. .200 meter, look for the orange cone. This is a lot harder. This is initial sight in Ruger SR-556 with burst red dot. Hit it. Good breathing, nice trigger control. Still waiting. Nice, keep going. See, that table's kind of wiggly, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
You're right in there, dude, looking sweet. Opened up just slightly. Give me one more round in that group. We could do this at 100. I'd be really stoked. A little bit open. Okay, give me 4 rounds lower right. That trigger sucks though, doesn't it? The trigger's awful on those SRs. It needs work. Okay. Same spot pretty much. On to the next talking point, reliability and durability. After break-in, this gun here, talking about Wolf ammunition, was actually pretty much reliable with it. Now, both guns, throughout the entire shooting phase, with brass-cased ammunition to include PMC, Cellar and Bellet, and USA White Box, 100% reliable. Not a single jam, completely perfect. I've heard reports of these guns running thousands of rounds in tactical carbine classes. I'm talking the SR-556s with 100% reliability. No break-in problems at all. With high-quality ammunition, it's just not a factor. So Ruger, when they designed their gas system, got it right. It is a well-designed gas system, and that's a good thing because I don't think retrofitting a DI gun with a gas system that is not properly engineered is that easy. Like we talked about in the other vid, I mean, you can get carrier tilt where your striker key kind of creates some carrier tilt for you. Not a huge issue, but some rubbing in the buffer tube and some other things that you just don't foresee unless you properly engineer it. From all indications, and yes, this is early in the product's life, thumbs up to Ruger's reliability. Durability seems outstanding too. I love the fact that they did the chrome plating of the bore, makes it easier to clean. Supposedly higher bore life as well. Everything is just well put together on the Ruger. I might come back to that, but I'm going to go on to accuracy because, again, I'm time constrained. Accuracy of the 5.56, I spent a lot of time trying to figure this out. Let me say right off, I think it's about a 2 MOA gun, these 5.56s. About on par with most AR-15s. I think a lot of the accuracy for most AR-15s is overblown. Guys act like they're more accurate than they really are. And I'm talking with normal ammunition, kind of like this. This is a high quality ammo, the PMC, but it's not match ammo. But I will tell you, it's hard enough to afford this, don't you think? I mean, unless you reload and you're not, you have a lot of time on your hands, you're probably going to be shooting just like the PMC, the USA White Box, SMB, maybe some XM193. And so I grabbed as many loads as I could and ran them through the 5.56 in different scenarios. Both in tactical running guns, we did it, doodle myself, and inadvertent smell. And I will say, just from a tactical standpoint, these guns performed marvelously. Very accurate, easy to shoot, smooth on target, all of that. They redeemed themselves well. From the bench, also pretty good. I won't say outstanding, but pretty good. This is from 50 yards after sight-in, running that Burris Speed Dot 3 MOA off the bench. This is during the sight-in, and this is the PMC 55 grain full metal jacket. 11 rounds from the red Burris Red Dot. That's my Sun Tactical Doodle. That's pretty good for 11 round group, 50 yards. Yeah, that's not a 3-round group. That's 11 rounds. I was pleased with that. There's Smell doing one. That's using a Burris 3x9 scope. This one, which we outfitted for further accuracy testing. That's a great tactical scope, though, the 3x9 tactical version, wearing some PRI rings with 1-inch inserts. Another group from Smell, 3x9 scope, not too bad, about an inch, maybe a little bit over. Another group there. I wasn't satisfied though. I wanted to go to 100 yards, see what the gun's capable of. Let me run through that real quick. And before I do, the trigger, getting to ergonomics a little bit, the trigger on the SRs is not impressive to me. I think it's kind of a hard trigger. It could benefit greatly from a retrofit. If you can do it, I recommend it. A lot of guys say, hey, it's a tactical carbine, running guns, defensive, just run a military grade trigger. I understand that. I like the Chip McCormick trigger, one of my favorite of all times. The Rock River match is also good. The CMMG retrofit AR-15 trigger, also outstanding. I'd love to throw one of these in there and test it. Both of them, though, we were running stock SR-556 triggers. There's 100 yards from the bench, XM193. And I found this to be kind of a trend with my shooting, kind of a horizontal stringing. And that is not an impressive group. And I'm just showing it to you. I'm not trying to make myself cool or anything. I just give it to you real, dudes. There's PMC, 100 yards. Nice group, opened up by a flyer, right? Just a couple stray rounds, I think, when I was sighting in. PMC, not an impressive group. Sorry, about 2.5 MOA maybe. Didn't measure it. Another non-impressive group by PMC, 100 yards. Okay, so I was kind of a little bit disappointed in some ways with a 5.56. Now, granted, when I shot these rounds, the wind was blowing. It had just completed like a hail/snowstorm. It was kind of some tough shooting conditions. So to be fair to the gun, shot it some more. Here we go, SR-556 by Nutnfancy, 100 yards. There's Seller and Bellet, like I was telling you. That's a better group. Opened up a little bit by a flyer. If it wasn't for that flyer, what, about 1.5 MOA maybe? XM193 again, unimpressive group. And I think that actually belongs in the same group. So it really wasn't digging XM193. And this, by the way, this is that same day, the same conditions where it's kind of windy. There you can see about a 2 MOA group, XM193, Seller and Bellet. Kind of a funky S shape right there. Yeah, that's a good group there. I was pleased with that one after striving hard, 1-inch, more or less a 1-inch group there. By the way, all of these were shot with that 3x9 scope. And in order to be fair for the gun, and also this might be some of me. This is Nutnfancy, my eyes, how I perceive the target. We've talked about that. I threw on a Monarch Buckmasters 4.5 by 14, is it? With a mil dot reticle. I ran this on the SR-556, took it out in the West Desert, and I said, surely I can do better. And I did. This is our last shoot, 100 yards. I had a couple other targets that are around here somewhere, but they're about the same. This is Winchester USA White Box. Kind of some horizontal stringing there. And this is a good group here, and I think this is more representative of what the gun can do. That's definitely a 1 MOA group, PMC. Still some horizontal stringing. And just so I'm inconsistent, there's some vertical stringing from the PMC. So that's that. How do I come away from the accuracy of the SR-556? I wish I could tell you that it's a 1 MOA gun. My shooting, and I will say my extensive shooting with this gun, did not prove that to be the case. I'm going to declare it to be a 2 MOA gun in the hands of a good shooter that knows what they're doing. In other words, not me. So 2 MOA gun, that's about on par with most AR-15s. Again, I think most accuracy claims from AR-15s are overblown due to ego, form impressions. I don't know. Most of the ARs that I've shot are about 2 MOA with this style of ammunition. Okay, with match ammo, really taking your time in groups, okay, maybe 1 MOA. Good accuracy, definitely serviceable in the tactical arena during our run of guns. It was just outstanding. On to materials, we kind of covered that already. It's just a forged aluminum receiver. Talked about the rail, the barrel, all of it's outstanding. Really, there's no critiques or criticisms I can level on the materials. Weight and size, however, let me just say weight, I can. We're running a piston gun. It has more metal up here, dudes. Gas regulator, piston, transfer rod with a spring, transfer rod spring, that's more metal. Additionally, we have a 10-inch rail that runs all the way up here. We have that very thick barrel, which is a good thing in my opinion, but it does add to the forward heft of the SR-556, and it is substantial. I think it's about 16 ounces, maybe 10 to 16 ounces heavier than a direct gas counterpart. Now, when I say that the SR-556 is heavier than a direct gas impingement gun by 10 to 16 ounces, that's just kind of a generalization. It just depends on what you're throwing it up against, and there are so many variables to consider. Barrel diameter, does it have a rail? How big is a rail? What is the design of that rail? Is it trim and slim like the Troy Industries? What type of flash hider does it have on? Do you have BUIS up front? All of that. Interestingly, as I threw this gun up against a similarly configured DI gun in the background, that Rock River, I found that the weight really wasn't that substantially different. 9 pound, 10 ounces, outfitted just like you see. And by the way, for reference, that is a lot for a 223 carbine for me. I like them under 8, and I'm talking fully outfitted with optics, light, mag, VG, whatever you want. That's my goal. It doesn't mean I'll always achieve it. That would be ideal. But when we go with a magnified optic, when we go with a light and metallic BUIS, the weight's going to add up. Like I've said many times before. 9 pounds though, 10 ounces. This Rock River in the background, outfitted as you see it with a Leopold illuminated optic 1.5 by 5 and an outstanding LaRue SPR mount. You know, with a M6X VG on there, PRI BUIS in this example, and Magpul accessories, 9 pounds, 3 ounces. So it's only 7 ounces lighter. So to me, that surprised me. When I put these on the scale, I'm like, well, this gun's going to be a lot lighter. Really? It wasn't. It's only 7 ounces lighter with basically the same capabilities. The only thing I lack on this is an illuminated optic and maybe a more rugged mount. That's a B square AR-15 mount. I don't think it's super heavy duty. It definitely would not compare to the LaRue. But surprisingly, I mean, maybe we'll call this 10 pounds after all. Again, that's heavy and portly for a 223 rifle in my opinion, but not a deal breaker for a lot of dudes. Considerations, like I said in my DI versus piston video, be careful what type of accessories you're going to hang on your SR-556. You can easily screw up what is already a slower swing weight due to the extra metal you have on the front end. Choose your light carefully. If you're going to run a VG, I would stay with something light like that Ergo grip, which is hollow. Do you really need to carry around extra batteries up there? I don't think so. Choose them wisely, dudes. Also, I think you're wiser to use a magazine well fulcrum to get a faster swing weight, like I kind of talked in that other video. Because if you put your hand out here, you know, that's a longer moment arm to bring that rifle into action. Come up here, you may lose a little bit of stability since it's a shorter moment arm, but just a thought. And again, I'm still in my learning phase with these piston guns, but I found that to be the case. It is disadvantageous though, compared overall, when all things are taken into consideration, against a DI gun counterpart. A good DI gun with a similarly profiled barrel, maybe a rail, will be lighter than the SR-556. A lot of users don't care. You know me, I'm big on weight. I still think a DI gun is a viable and good alternative to it. But if you like a piston gun, you're good with the weight, the SR-556 is an outstanding option. The size, by the way, I have noted is very compact for what it is. Like I said earlier, also testing the Robinson Arms XCR. It'll be a while before I get to that review. But I noted that the 556 is more compact than the XCR. If we put the gas block against gas block with similar length barrels, you can see the XCR is just a longer gun overall. It's hard for me on camera to show you, but just take it. For me, the XCR is a longer gun. A little bit heavier too, with even a slower swing weight, partially due to that heavier rail that's integrated into the design. Also the Kalashnikov gas system, which I think has more metal still than the 556. It's an excellent gun, but it just seems a little bit heavier into action than SR was. Doodle and Smell loved it. I didn't hear any complaints as we did our running guns. Engaged targets at 50 meters or on out to 200 meters. It performed marvelously. Just really nice, actually. We didn't have them configured for a single point sling, so we didn't do any rifle to pistol transitions, however. On to ergonomics. The SR-556 is excellent in this category. Shouldn't be surprising, really. It's just like every other quality built AR-15. Safety's where it should be, right there, right by your thumb. If you're right-handed, that's a good thing. Bolt release here, magazine release, fenced, again right there, no surprises, just excellent. The hoe grip, again, you don't have to replace that. That's pretty decent. I think most users will be very happy with it. The rubber texture on there, again, might grab clothing, just depends. And I like how it's hollow. You know, I don't generally carry batteries in my grip, doing everything in my power to keep my tactical carbine as light and fast into action as possible. The stock, no need to replace it. Like me, if you're a fan of the Magpul CTR, go ahead. It's easy enough. You just pop that right off the buffer tube, which by the way is mil spec if I remember correctly. If it's not, I'll tell you in annotation, but I think that's a mil spec tube they have on that. Actually, I know it is because that CTR is mil spec one. Anyways, this rattles a little bit in its positions. Pretty standard for the variety, but most guys won't care. And it's tough and rugged enough. It sure works well in combat over there, so no need to replace it. I prefer to put on a Badger Ordnance Generation 2 tactical latch on the charging handle, especially if I'm running optics like you see that SR in the background doing it. It's just easier to grasp the charging handle. Not needed, just an additional accessory. The ergonomics of the rail, once again, very slender. I love that. Overall, the gun, as far as into action, I already talked about the magwell technique for bringing it up, you know, minimizing your moment arm, but it is front heavy, like we said. And yeah, I didn't help by putting the light on there, no doubt, Doodle, but you kind of need that light for the night shooting. At least we do. We love it. You just got to live with that. It's not a DI gun. I love how fast in action those DI guns are because they're lighter up front. They don't have the extra metal. Most guys, actually I can't even say most guys, it just depends on who you are and if you'll like that or not. But the ergonomics overall, controls, grip, stock, operation, outstanding. Real quick on maintenance. I mentioned this in a DI versus piston series, our video. You're going to get really dirty up here. And you need to take this regulator apart, pull the piston out, clean it. Is it critical to the operation of the gun? No, I don't think so. I've heard of dudes running thousands of rounds through the SRs without cleaning them. I think it'll just keep chugging away. But you're going to be amazed at how dirty it gets there. As you can see, though, it's a pretty easy process. You'll just drift this pin out. I'm not going to show you for airtime, maybe a couple photos if I think of it. And once that gas block pin is drifted to the left, then you can line up your regulator with the flat side showing up. Pull the regulator out, drop the piston out by turning it upside down, shaking it, it'll come out, and then you can clean it. And that's about it. You'll have your regulator detent pin in there, and putting it back together is pretty simple. Again, Ruger does not advise or recommend taking out of the transfer rod, which is contained within the rail. They just say it'll run and run. Cleaning the bolt carrier group is very easy, and AR-15-ish, but since you don't have a bunch of gunk back there, it's going to be very fast. Accessories, talking points. Man, I got to keep cruising. We talked about it already. This gun comes with a lot. The only thing that I didn't say that it comes with is that nice Ruger soft case. I prefer a closed cell foam case just in case I ever drench it in water. But this comes with every 556. Again, it is a high value option. The price is high, I'm not going to lie. But at least you're getting a lot for your money. So great job with the accessories, Ruger. And that really kind of takes us down to the value talking point, if I didn't already say so. High value for what you're getting. If you compare it against a DI gun that is comparably equipped, you probably are going to see that you're going to get more for your money with a Ruger SR-556. Keep in mind what you're getting. Super quality backup iron sights, which I always like on my tactical carbines. Those Troy Industries are just outstanding. They're properly designed, that is to say, as light as possible and trim as possible. Troy Industries rail, outstanding. You know, hoe grip, stock, all the stuff we've talked about, the carry case. When you take it all into consideration for the price point that you're going to pay for the SR, it's on par with the DI gun with all that same stuff on it. Maybe you might even save some money. Just depends how much you're going to pay for your SR. It's not inexpensive though. I'm not going to say it isn't. You know, $1,500, $1,600. Just depends where you buy it, how you know, popular the guns are. But it is a lot of gun for the money, especially if you're digging the piston system. And remember, and in summary, to be fair to the design, there are a lot of advantages to that piston drive system. A cleaner bolt carrier group, keeping the heat and the fouling away from what many feel to be the most important and critical component of the gun. Of course, the bolt, the locking lugs, the cam pin hole, all those things that can be subject to failure and cracking under high heat and stresses are all kept away and kept up front. Yeah, that gun has a heat sink. It's called a gas block. Be careful, this sucker's really going to heat up a lot, but it's better, I guess, to have it up here, right? All the fouling and heat than back in your carrier group. And if you're a high round count shooter, maybe the piston gun, the SR-556, is a good option for you. Is it absolutely better, like I've said before, than a DI alternative? Well, whatever brand you dig and you choose? I don't think so. I think a DI gun's still very viable, properly lubed and maintained. They're also outstanding. But a piston gun does have some advantages that guys will just absolutely love. Track record, who knows? It all points upward though. The SR-556 has to be around for a number of years and used by a lot of different users. Law enforcement, perhaps military, definitely lots of civilians and carbine classes over the years. And we'll see. We'll see how it chugs along, and we'll see what kind of record and reputation establishes for itself. But I will say, having studied the type, having shot the type extensively myself, the crew members at the Nutnfancy project, we come away impressed. This is a well put together, well designed, durable, fun, and fast shooting tactical carbine that just offers the user so much. Highly recommended by Nutnfancy. Again, a little bit heavier, but other than that, there's pretty much nothing negative I can say about the type. Hope I got this under time. Nutnfancy signing off with the tabletop review. Very positive one, I might add, of the outstanding Ruger SR-556. And you know what? My son said it best. As we were ambling out of the desert, he said, you know what? I grew up with Ruger. I love Ruger. I grew up shooting their 1022s and Mini 14s. And to have the company come out with an AR-15 of this quality, I'm sold. I'm just sold. Well said, Doodle. And I couldn't agree more. Nutnfancy. We'll see you later, dudes. So, Doodle, what do you like about your SR?
It's mine. What?
Specifically, what do you like about the SR-556?
I love that it's pre-set up. I'll admit, I do like Ruger. You know, you grow up with Ruger. I used the Mark II 1022. That was my primary setup until pretty much the last couple of years.
Concur.
So I feel a certain bit of brand loyalty about it.
I do too. I love Ruger.
A lot for your money. We paid what, like $1,500 for this at their special thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Impact Guns had a special going.
you get a good Troy rail with it. You get good Buis's. You know, about the only thing you're really missing is an optic.
Word.
Right out the box.
Oh, dude, another good group. Doodle freaking rocking it. On the run and gun with SR-556, this is under stress
One out.
and breathing. One missing. I'm going to run the XCR against it, see how it does. Nicely played. Sun going down here in the West Desert. What a beautiful evening. We've got a visitor with us, and we also have last suspect down there holding down the fort.
Man, that wolf is dirty. Look at that thing.